A Call to Arms and Chiropractic by Leo L. Spears, D.C. When any business, political party, or profession starts going conservative, it either has everything it wants, is overly self-confident, or weak from senility. Every great enterprise needs a certain amount of conservatism, but it needs more progressiveness. When properly balanced, the conservative and progressive spirits work well together. But when conservatism blocks the path of progress, the stench of decay is in the air. In the good old days when our group was enthusiastically progressive, when we refused to be intimidated by our enemies or squelched even by the courts, chiropractic grew by leaps and bounds. In those days, practically every chiropractor had as many patients as he could serve. He was not ashamed to call himself a chiropractor. The nights were too short and the days not long enough for him to spread the good news of his science. He talked chiropractic, sung chiropractic, preached chiropractic to every individual with whom he came in contact and to the world at large. And the people liked him because he was a fighter, because he believed in what he was doing, because he fairly exuded enthusiasm, and because he showed greater interest in his science and in the health of humanity than in the people's purse. The word conservatism was not in his vocabulary. He knew only aggression and progression, aggressiveness and progressiveness. He never thought of defeat. He knew only one direction, and that was forward. He obeyed only one command, and that command was on and on and on. And in those days, he sold chiropractic to the grocer around the corner, to the farmer at the plow, to the clerk at the counter, to the minister in his pulpit, to the fireman, the police, to the judge on his bench, and to his personal friends. He wasn't afraid to tell anyone who was sick to take chiropractic if they wanted to get well. He scorned such phrases as, "You might get well. You can probably obtain results. We might be able to relieve you." He minced no words. He knew what he could do, what chiropractic could do, and he shouted his wares from the housetops. Fought back. He thrived on the criticism of his enemies and fought back with a will that the world admired. He showed no fear. He displayed the courage and determination of a David when menaced by the medical Goliath. He slept with his boots on and kept his sword eternally unsheathed. He said what he thought and backed up what he said with a soul inspired. No, he wasn't conservative. Not the chiropractor of the good old days. He wasn't afraid to put an ad in the paper and tell the world what he could do. He wasn't afraid to publish testimonials of what the people he had restored to health. He wasn't afraid of the medic across the street or the chiropractor next door. He made money and spent it so that he might make more. In those days, there was a chiropractic ad in almost every paper, almost every day of the week, and there were plenty of patients for all. Then came the day of conservatism, of appropriation and use of defunct and discarded medical adjuncts, of backdoor medication, of shameful compromise with our enemies that cheapened our science, embarrassed our leaders, tightened the noose about our necks, endangered our schools, and gradually closed the legal doors against our graduates. With this conservatism came excuses, apologies, weak backs, weaker knees, indifference, throttling court decisions, and strangling laws. Came also those who disgraced the fair name of chiropractic by peddling everything under its title except chiropractic adjustments. Came a false conservatism which condemned aggression and advancement because of what our enemies might think or say. Came professional jealousies, which restricted chiropractors' right to advertise. Came laws through which boards could command the cessation of advertising of all types. Then came the stench of decay, forgetfulness on the part of the people, indifference of the courts, and the storm of basic science which is now sweeping the land and leaving only destruction and ruin for chiropractic in its wake. About face. If we are to survive, we must about face now. So this is a call to arms, a prayer for the good old days, a plea for the return of the spirit that put chiropractic on the map, a warning that unless we declare our universal conscription and resume the aggressive war of yesteryears, soon our position will be comparable to that of Poland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Belgium, Norway, Holland, Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, and France. The position of neutrality by chiropractors is no longer tenable. Through neutrality, we have already lost 13 states and the District of Columbia to basic science, the spirit of progression to false conservatism, enthusiasm to indifference, much of our business to our enemies, and a brilliant future to an irreparable past. Unless we unsheath our sword and use it without cessation, unless we clear our offices of junk and our minds of bunk, unless we resume the practice of Palmer Pure Chiropractic, stop kowtowing to our enemies, and compromising with destructive laws, we will join hands with the vanquished. Unless we awake now, keep guards eternally at our doors, and fight at every challenge, we will soon be so completely surrounded by our enemies that destruction will be inevitable. Militancy. And more. Unless we change our tactics from defense to offense, and attack on every front in the future until we have gained all the ground we have lost, and create unmatchable weapons for future use, we might just as well throw the latch and hang crepe on our doors. One of the greatest weapons for attack is advertising. Advertising individually and collectively. And one of the two greatest advertising media is radio. It is not only our privilege, it is our duty to carry chiropractic messages in every paper and on every radio in the land every day and every night until every person knows what we have to offer in the way of health and what we can do. When we have convinced the people that they need what we have, the one weapon in our hands that cannot be overcome by the enemy, the weapon of public opinion, we will have, but we cannot expect the public to believe in us unless we believe in ourselves. We cannot expect the people to understand chiropractic unless we advertise chiropractic and use chiropractic and nothing else. Nor can we expect the great masses to proclaim the freedom of chiropractic and their right to subscribe to it and have it when, how, and where they wish, until we have educated them to the efficiency and superiority of our science. Yes, this is a call to arms, a challenge to every chiropractor in the land, to throw away his medical adjuncts, discard his pop pistol peacetime tactics, and resume his place at the chiropractic battlefront as a Palmer Pure chiropractic soldier with the chiropractic weapons, ready and willing to die for chiropractic. How many will answer the call?